Hello, my name is Carlo Di Maria, Mayor of the City of Everett. I'm joined today with Greg St. Louis. Greg is to my right, Director of Public Works. To my left, James Soper, the ISD Director, Buildings and Inspectional Services. And of course, Steve Mazie, Chief of Police. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. This year's winter is upon us. As we know, we had a small storm a few days ago, and I want to congratulate the Public Works Department. I had the opportunity to drive around not only our city, but other cities in the area. And I have to say, Greg, we pre-treated early. Streets were nice and clean for the rest of the day, where other communities weren't like that. So good job.
Thank you, Mr.
To
Mayor.
yourself, Kevin Noonan, and the entire department down there. It was very easy to navigate through the city of Everett. As you know, that's something that we take pride in, is making sure that services like that are handled immediately. But we want to talk about parking. Chief, why don't you run through the winter 2019, though it's the 2018 season. Talk
Sure.
about parking, odd side, even side, double side.
Sure.
Tell the residents about
We'll
it.
do it, Mr. Mayor. So, you know, winter is here. We obviously are getting some early snow. Weather temperatures are dropping. So, what people need to know is that all of us, you know, communicate when we watch the weather on a regular basis. We communicate and we decide whether we need to declare a snow emergency with a parking ban. And as you mentioned, because it is we're going into the winter of 2019, although it's still 2018. When it comes to parking, people need to remember 19 in the odd year. So once we do declare a snow emergency, and it's usually anything above 3 inches. This recent storm, we did not declare it, although you know temperatures were warming up after, and it disappeared quickly. And those guys did a great job. But once we have heavy snow come, we know it's coming. We declare it. We advertise. We try to get it out through multiple media outlets as well as social media, Facebook, and so on.
So 2019, even though it's 2018 December, November and December, the winter ends in 19.
Correct. 2019.
If you're on a street where it's two-sided parking, and it's going to go down to just one side, right, for
Parking purposes,
parking,
snow emergency
ban.
parking.
Odd number houses.
Odd side of the street, correct.
Right.
You need to be on the odd side. Two-sided parking, get to the odd side, even now. There's a
So you live on a street that has two-sided parking, you go to the odd side.
odd side.
If you live on a street that has one-sided parking,
You stay where you are, Mr.
Doesn't
Mayor.
matter what-
So
yeah,
if you,
stay where
wherever
you
you
are.
normally park today, the storm doesn't affect that. You stay on that same side of the street. So
we
that's
call
really
it
the key.
a snow emergency, and we say it's going to start at 10 p.m. We're going to start ticket and towing. Regardless of, now we're going to call them parking bans, no longer snow emergencies. Parking bans, because if it doesn't snow, even though we get forecasted 10
Sure.
inches, and we only get 3 inches, but we call a parking ban, and we will begin to tow at 10 p.m. We will begin to tow at 10 p.m.
Correct. If we declare it for 10 p.m. for people to get off the main arteries and go to the proper side for parking, we will start tagging and towing, and that's really where we need people's cooperation. We don't really want to tag and tow
No,
vehicles. It's a daunting task for us, as you know. There's a lot of vehicles. It's densely populated and congested at times. So if we can get the cooperation of our residents and get off those main arteries and get to the odd side on two-sided streets and on those single sides, get to the proper side, which is the normal side. It makes all our lives easier. It makes the public works job a lot easier and passable for everybody.
And perfect. Greg, why is it important that if we call parking ban and we know that there's going to be a good amount of snow, why is it important to get the ticket and towing done immediately, even if the snow has not accumulated yet?
So once a time restriction's announced, the first thing we do is go out and either pre-treat the roads or check our routes. We've found anything from trash in the street to vehicles blocking emergency access. So we use that time restriction to check throughout the city and make sure that we're prepared to treat the snow once it comes. As you saw with the last snow event, they were forecasting about 1 inch of snow, and we ended up with closer to 4 inches. So the weather can always be delayed or come sooner than expected, so we really need to abide by those time restrictions.
Right. So it's important that residents, when we call a parking ban, even though it's not snowing yet, the goal is to get you parked correctly, so when the snow does accumulate, we're not behind the 8 ball.
Sure.
Right? We're able
Yeah.
to have clear paths to clean, get to the curb, because a lot of people complain about us not getting to the curb line, and sometimes that's due to the fact that there's one vehicle that's blocking, that's parked in the street, where everyone else is abiding by the snow emergency, and though it's, hasn't got that much snow yet, we're driving the plows down and we're going around this car, so we're kind of creating an issue for the whole neighborhood.
Yeah, you brought up a good point, and Greg emphasized it. I mean, this isn't exact science. With
Right.
these storms, they anticipate, 10 inches coming in. Sometimes we don't get the 10 inches, and we're only following what the weather forecasters can give us. And although the technology and the models are a lot better, we're on that cusp along the water that, as you know, it changes rapidly. So it's not like we want to declare, when we declare one and it turns out to be a dud. It's not like we want to go out, like I said, and tag and tow, but we need to prepare, because if we get behind and that 10 inches does come, we're in trouble.
Chief, a lot of people talk about the PA system. Sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't do it, but we're not going to do it after a certain time in the evening.
Yeah, we have to judge when the storm's coming in. I mean, again, we hit it hard on the regular media outlets. We hit it on social media, on for those who follow the city and every police department, Facebook and Twitter. That information goes out on a regular basis. I know it's posted on cable TV. The officers will sometimes go through the neighborhoods, but again, if it's late at nighttime, we're not going to be hitting, doing those voiceovers on the PA system to warn them. People need to get up and work in the morning.
Sure.
And it's just other modes and methods to get the information out today that are a lot more efficient than the old days. Plus, we get the robocall.
Everyone should sign up
Emergency
to
notification.
get robocalls from the city of Everett, especially during the wintertime. I can see if you don't want the calls in the spring and summer, but in the wintertime, definitely sign up. Jim, talk about the sidewalk shoveling ordinance, throwing snow into the street, cleaning out your driveways and putting it on the street.
Sure. One of the important things we do, Mr. Mayor, when we work with the Department of Public Works during the days of these nights of these storms, is that we call maybe 2, 3 of our vehicles in, staff those vehicles with inspectors, and those inspectors have radios that they stay in communication with the DPW. Now, what we often do is, or we often see, is a situation where commercial plow drivers are plowing private lots, and they're plowing them directly into the street. Now, this just causes more trouble for our public safety and our DPW. When they're plowing, they have to now come back and do that street again that they just went over. So being in communication with the DPW is very important. The plow drivers see this happening. They call our inspectors over. Our inspectors get out nicely, communicate with that driver or that plow operator, let them know that they cannot plow back into the street, they cannot pile snow at
But Jim,
corners.
by now, everyone knows.
I hope.
So I think the
Yes.
communication part needs to end. So we need to be just aggressive.
Okay.
So I think the word is today that if you were to be caught as a commercial driver plowing out parking lots, a lot of the gas stations, not to stereotype, but a lot of them seem to have their parking lots are clean and there's no buildup of snow on their lots, and we always want, and we don't see them hauling snow out. I think we need to just, issue the citation.
We'll be issuing them a citation
Yeah,
in
right,
the future.
right.
And if they don't cooperate beyond then, we'll be calling our chief.
Right.
To take care of
Yeah.
it from there.
Jim, what is the fine? What is the fine for that?
Right now, the fine is $50. $50 per event. Every day is a new event. We can escalate that as it goes. Maximum fine we could put
Seems like it's
is
cheaper to
$300.
push in the street with $50 than to haul it away. So maybe we need to look at that ordinance, talk to the city council about that.
We also have the ordinance separate from plowing into the streets. We have an ordinance that requires a removal of snow from sidewalks
Yep.
up to a 36-inch path within 12 hours of the completion of the emergency. So that
Residents, 12 hours after the chief and I agree to call off, actually Greg tells us we're good, or Kevin tells us we're good, we call it the snow emergency. Snow emergency is finalized at, say, 12 in the afternoon. People have till midnight that night to clear in front of their properties and clear the sidewalks in front of their homes.
They have 12 hours. So what that means is after midnight, we start ticketing.
Right.
We start ticketing. And we do bring people in to do that. Clearing your sidewalk is a common courtesy to your neighbors and your neighborhood and the citizens. It's public safety. You know, when you're driving up and down Broadway and you see people walking in the street with children on strollers, this is because those sidewalks have not been taken care of. And this is something that needs to be addressed. The city has addressed it through legislation 3 years ago. We are now in full force making sure that this is done. The fines start at $50 and they can escalate up to $300 as well. And not only stopping there, but there are other regulations that require homeowners, owners of absentee property, any owner has to make sure that that tenant can get out of that house as well. So not only the sidewalks, but the pathway to the sidewalk, the stairs, the front and the back needs to be accessible for the tenants in case there's an emergency, or for emergency responders to get into those buildings as well. So it's required by state regulations as well.
Jim, let me ask a question. What do, the city has a lot of senior citizens.
Yes.
In the city. I know my case, I'm shoveling my parents, but what do we do to
That was
help?
the next thing I was going to say.
Okay,
but
what do we do, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah,
Help those people.
we actually, if they call our office, we actually send people
Team
out
out.
to clean. We did have Roker helping us at one time. We do have a list in the office. Steve Sapino, who from Human Services handles that aspect of it. Getting kids to go to seniors' houses to clean their properties. I know last year was, we were very busy doing that for seniors. So, and I think the code officers know what properties have seniors living in them.
Sure.
The goal is always to kind of knock first, ring the doorbell, especially when it comes to ticketing, targeting homes. And we do that.
We actually have a waiver program that that's allowed under this ordinance. It allows anyone who's elderly, lives in the residence, and gets an exemption on their taxes, reduction of their taxes. They can be added to the assessors list. The assessors collects all this data, as well as people who live in the home and they're handicapped. They get a note from their doctor, and that's all compiled on a list. And that list comes from the assessor's office, comes up to the inspectional services, and we use that list when we're going around the community. And we look at those properties too to make sure if these people need help from the mayor's program that he has available for shoveling. As well, for helping the citizens. So, we try to make that connection. It is an educational thing. We don't want a ticket. We want to see clear sidewalks. So
Do a lot of seniors and residents with disabilities take advantage of that program?
They do, and still
That's
it's
big.
fairly new.
Yeah.
But we need to do a better job at that. And before we ticket anybody, we're looking for that information as well too. The knock and talk is a good idea.
Yeah. We had the issue on Harvard Street with the gentleman, overgrown grass. He was a senior and he had some medical issues, and we were able to, help him.
That's right.
So, so seniors, people with disabilities, do they have to come up to City Hall to fill that out, or?
They should be able to just call the assessor's office because that information is available at the
Okay.
assessor's office. They're seniors, they own the property.
So
they're
call
exempt.
311,
Ask for the assessor.
ask for the assessor's office.
And get
I'm
put
a
on the
senior
list.
or someone with a disability. We get put on a list. If we have a home, to avoid being issued citations
Yes.
for not
Yes.
cleaning a property.
Yes, absolutely.
And then those particular people do call our office, and we do help them get the services they need to get their properties clean.
Yeah. So it's still, if you're a healthy young gal or girl, guy or gal rather, you can go out and make a few bucks shoveling once the snow falls as well.
Yeah.
Which is always nice to do too.
And check on your neighbors.
And
Check
Go
on
ahead, checking your neighbors.
Yeah.
Any help that you can provide your neighbors is just
Right.
more timely.
Make you feel good too.
So sign up for the robocalls. Call cityoferett.com is where you can sign up for the robocalls. Cityoferett.com. Anything else to wrap this up?
No, just for information, just to reiterate, Facebook, Twitter, I know we always pump this information out regularly. Again, we want to reinforce that people understand what's the winter of 19, two-sided
Yeah.
parking, get to that odd side. If it's one-sided parking, stay where you are. Help your neighbors out, help us out by moving your cars so you don't have to tag a tow.
Blue lights, see the blue lights, snow emergency is called. It's another way. We're
Yep.
Are the blue lights all working?
So they're not, Mr.
Then-
Mayor. So there have been, some have malfunctioned. I mean, some of them are aging. I know they've been going out. They fixed a lot of them recently. So just because one or two of those beacons might be out doesn't mean that the storm emergency is on.
Majority of blue lights are working?
Majority are on, yeah.
Do we have a plan to get them all working?
Yeah, they do. They have a punch list of those that are out, and they've been slowly getting them fixed. Some require different parts than others, but that's been a work in progress.
Okay.
I'd also like to remind everybody to park 20 feet from intersections so that some of these big vehicles can access more remote streets in town.
Private ways, we don't plow private ways if cars are parked all over it.
That is correct.
If people who live on private ways want to get their street cleaned, because they don't have to abide by the parking regulations, they can't block the street, but they can park on the right and left. If you want to get the entire private way cleaned, our message would be, talk to your neighbors, organize, during a snow emergency, get all your cars and driveways or off the private way, and we will then, it'll be one of the last streets we clean, because people, sometimes on my Facebook page, where I'm very interactive, as you guys know, with the snow emergencies, those that live on dead ends, that are regular streets, or even private ways, we try to get to them, but our goal is the main arteries, the arteries to the hospital.
Dead ends are difficult for any snow contractor. As you can imagine, when we're plowing the road, sometimes snow will go back in your driveway, but we're trying to maintain that emergency access for everybody.
One last thing I was thinking of too, Mr. Mayor, for those who have hydrants in front of their homes, they can help us out, help the fire department out by digging those out. I know fire goes out regularly to check on them, but it's a good neighborly thing to do if you have one out in front of your house to help out.
Sure. Do you think we've covered everything that we wanted to? And of course, you can always reach out to Facebook with questions, comments on my Facebook page, the police department's page. But any comments, questions, concerns, please let us know. We'll answer them. I don't think we'll do a follow-up on this issue as we are doing with housing and transportation. But we wish you we're taping this before Thanksgiving, so by the time you see it, maybe before or after Thanksgiving, but definitely before the holidays. Just want to wish everyone a great holiday and a happy holiday season and great Thanksgiving, and make sure, and a great healthy New Year, just make sure you park on that. It's the 2019 winter season. Though it's November, December 18, the 2019 winter season, odd-sided parking during snow emergencies if you live on a street that has two-sided parking. If you live on a street that has one-sided parking, continue to park on that one side. Did I miss anything there with the parking? Because that's the biggest
I think
thing.
we're good.
That's
that is
the
a big
biggest
one.
thing, you know? And when snow emergencies are called, please abide by them, get rid of your car. Even though there's no snow going on, it's really considered a parking ban. Please remove your cars so Public Works can do a great job and have that street nice and clean for you for the entire snow season. It's imperative. It helps out.
Mayor, I know they're also going to have the list of the main arteries
Right.
advertised as well, so people have that information.
And we added new streets to that list. I think the city council worked with us to add some new streets to the main artery list.
It's been updated.
It's been updated. Don't shovel snow into the streets.
Don't do
Don't
it.
push snow into the streets.
Don't do it.
Clean your sidewalks. It's now a city ordinance. Clean your path to your tenants' stairs and driveways. And what else is it? Space savers.
Ooh.
Space savers. Do we have an official policy on space savers? What?
If not, we should set it right
We
now.
need to set one right now.
Couple days?
Yeah, keep them out of the street.
Keep them off the streets.
I mean, they should be moved at some point after a storm. I mean, we should set some ground rule on it. I mean,
We're fairly reasonable with them, and then basically when it's your trash day, if it's been a couple days, we have the trash companies pick them up.
So we've been laxed on it. We've allowed them a couple days after a snowstorm to use them? Is that what we're saying?
it sounds it, but then when trash comes that week, if it's not moved,
If your trash day is coming on that day, that's when we take it, if it's not moved. That's the policy?
Sounds good.
So until your trash day comes, you can save your parking space. So if you're the snowstorm on, your trash day was Monday, you have a snowstorm on a Tuesday, you can park in that space until that Monday? Is that what we're gonna say?
that's pretty generous.
That's pretty generous.
Pretty generous.
That's pretty generous.
48 hours.
48 hours.
Yeah.
48 hours after a snowstorm, we'll allow the space savers to stay out. 48 hours from the time the parking ban is lifted. 48 hours from the time the parking ban is lifted, you're allowed to use your space saver. After that, please remove your space saver, or unfortunately, we'll have to collect them.
And we've done that in the past, Mr. Mayor, with the
Yes.
pickup trucks. We don't put out anything that's valuable because it will be gone.
Right. Okay, thank you for listening to this. We appreciate it. And on behalf of the group, have a wonderful day.